Hello and welcome to Fat Squirrel Speaks. Today is Friday, April 4th. I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry Blue Sky and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. My pronouns are she, her, they, them. Thanks for coming over on this very gray, very April-y showers kind of joint that we're having here today. I'm all about the dramatic lighting because I'm artsy, not because I don't understand studio lighting. That's all I'm saying. I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you to patrons of the podcast. As always, if you'd like to find out more information about that, you can find it on patreon.com/thefatsquirrel. But over in the Discord group, we're doing a little daily tarot challenge from the Lionheart Studio, and it is so cute. It's just delicious to see all the different artwork, which is always so fun. I mean, I do really like the tarot as like a, again, as I talked about last time a little bit, like as a tool to sort of like focus on like some like, sort of like a journaling prompt essentially. But also it is very bad for collecting collections because the artwork is just so enjoyable. Like, I don't know why, like I feel bad, like I'm like, ooh, I have too many decks. Like, ooh. And like some of them I do like want to rehome just because I'm not used, like I don't find them to be, they're just not my vibe right now. But then I'm like, dude, people collected baseball cards and stuff. Why not this? Why not Magic the Gathering? Hello? Hello? Why not this? But that's not really what I meant to talk about at all. But I just want to say thank you for those folks who are participating. Meow. And then in Shenanigans, oh, I should do like the projection, that's not what it's called, outlining, I guess. Today's episode will contain some tiny shenanigans, it will contain some cross stitch, and it will contain some knitting. Now let's do shenanigans. So I went to see my kiddo is in the Berea College Country Dancers. It sounds very funny, right? But it's like sort of like a folk dancing, like the school, Berea College is Appalachian focused. So there's a lot of like Appalachian cultural studies classes and things like that. And so this is sort of the dance version of that Appalachian culture studies. And so they do a lot of sort of like, a lot of them tend to be sort of 17th, 18th century English dances, Scottish dances, Irish dances, just because that is where a lot of that population came from in that area of Appalachia. But there are also things like contra dance, and there are some other dances that were originally contributed to European sources that upon later research and scholarship have been determined to have very significant African influence, so they noted that in some cases. But anyway, so it's just a good fun time. And so they were performing at a convocation, and I went down to Berea to go see that because, you know, still a mom. Still a silly mom later. And also I got the excuse to visit my bestie from high school who's down there. And it was so fun. It was so fresh because also I just want to say, like, maybe it's just like a factor of like where I went to school, but I was watching them and I was like, I don't know that the people I knew when I was of that age would have been unself-conscious enough to perform like square dancing in front of their peers. I don't know. Maybe it was just, again, it could be literally like the factor of where I went to school. Like, again, this is an Appalachian focused school, so like they take Appalachian culture seriously, and so like maybe that sort of mitigates that self-consciousness. But I would like to hope that kids are just getting like less self-conscious. I mean, yes, they're always gonna be self-conscious, like hi. But I don't know. Part of me just, I don't know. I'm just gonna have that little nugget of hope that like generationally they're gonna be like more confident in who they are, what they like, what they enjoy doing. And I'm just gonna hope that for them real hard. I'm gonna hope that for them really hard. But aside from that thing that I was just like, thinking about, it was also just really sweet. And the coolest thing about it was I was just like, the whole time I was watching, they would like announce a dance and they'd be like, this is a dance from 1750, or it was originally, although, by the way, like how weird, I never, again, not a dance scholar, like the fact that there would be the origin for a dance is kind of wild to me, because like it's not, again, it's the performance, there's not script, there's not, so anyways, I don't understand the scholarship, but that's super interesting to me. But neither here nor there. I was watching these kids dance and it looked so fun, right? Like it looked like it would be really fun. I've never been a dancier. One of my uncles played, or still plays, but he played a lot of contra dances, and I went to one of them in Cincinnati. And at the time I was in my very early 20s, and I thought it looked so fun, but I would never have tried to participate, because at that time I was also much less comfortable in the body that I had, but also just, again, like the shame, I would have just, even the mere thought of the shame was just too much for my little body to hold, well, my giant body. But it looks super fun. So then again, tonight, so yes, the other day, I was watching them and I'm like, that just looks so fun. How have we lost this? You know what I mean? Like, it looks fun. It's like, oh my gosh, that must have been wild. If you were like an 18th century 17-year-old, that must have been bonkers. That must have just been like the most exciting thing ever. And I just like felt that very deeply for them, and was like really strangely happy for like 18th and 19th century 16-year-olds who would get to participate in these dances. Such a weird thing. But I felt like such a joy for them. Which is lucky, because, you know, we're basically heading into 18th century America again. So, I mean, maybe we'll get the dances back. I don't know. We can only hope. Sorry, that was kind of a bummer. Oh my gosh. Really, though. For what is going? Okay, sorry. What's going on? Same, friends, same. But yeah, like I guess maybe we'll get some cute dances out of it. I don't know. Okay, so those were my shenanigans. And then I did have shenanigans driving home. I'm too old of a lady to make a 7-hour road. That's not true. I am just too broken to make a 7-hour car drive. Like, it's 3.5 and 3.5. Cause like, and it was over at like 9:30. So then I didn't leave until like 10:30, you know, didn't get out of this area till about that time. So that was the night that we were having really bad storms, directly along my path. So it actually wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. I made it about 2/3, maybe not quite 2/3, with it just being sort of like, you know, windy and rainy, but not like visibility issues. But by the time I got near Cincinnati, I was really like, my eyes were so dry. I should have put eye drops in before I left, and I just didn't remember to. So my eyes were so dry that I felt like I had like a piece of gravel in this left eye. And so I'm like driving, and I wasn't driving like this. I just occasionally had to do like a real hard blink on that side to try to dislodge the gravel. So I was like, dude, I gotta stop at Harrison. So I stopped. It's just it's a city that's like, or town on the Ohio-Indiana border. So I pulled over. I was like, I've got to put eye drops in. Like, this is now no longer safe because my eyes are just not working correctly. And I am so thankful, because as soon as I pulled over, the storm like hit. Like, I was in the BP parking lot, and you know, like the giant trash cans. If you're not from the States, I don't know what trash cans at gas stations look like, and petrol stations look like in other places. But we have like barrel size, like big, like, I don't know that you could reach around them. Maybe you could, but they're big. And they have like washer fluid in them. And so they're like heavy. And they were just like scooting around the parking lot of the BP because the wind was so high. Like they were like little Daleks just like just like going across the parking lot. And so and my car was like rocking and rolling even though I was completely holding still. I was in park. But I was being buffeted by the winds. And then all of a sudden I wasn't looking at the gas station. It was because this very bright. So I was just sort of looking out more towards where the storm, like I could see the storm better. And all of a sudden I heard this big pop and then everything went super black. And like for, you know, just an instant, I was like, what is happening? I got, like I couldn't, I don't know what it was, but it took a minute for my brain to realize the power had gone out. Instead, I was just like, what happened? And what had happened is a transformer had blown. I sort of saw it out of like the my peripheral vision, but again, I didn't really connect all the things that were happening, but I'd seen like a big bunch of sparks and stuff, and then all the lights went out, and I just was like, this is the end. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's what happened. And then the lights all came back on again, and then like within moments. And then probably maybe less than a minute later, it did the same thing. And then I was like, oh crap, here I am I'm sitting on like a metric ton of gasoline, and there are like sparks flying. Not near enough to make a danger, but I did have a moment of like, oh, is this safe? So anyway, so I just sat in my little parking lot and looked at my phone and watched the radar. By the way, like, what a blessing. I know the phones have done so many bad things to us, and they continue to do so many bad things to us. But boy, it is really nice when you're stuck in like a random parking lot in Ohio to be able to like look at the radar with the like red storm just like hovering over you and being like, okay, it's only going to be a few more seconds, minutes, whatever. Okay, okay, back on that side of it, it looks like it's going to be safe again. I've just got to wait. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is such a luxury. And yes, clearly we survived for years and years and years without that luxury. But boy, she's a nice one. And I really appreciate her wholeheartedly. Okay? Okay. But obviously I made it home fine. But then I did have to sleep for like 14 of the next 24 hours to recuperate. Did I do anything remotely physical in this time? No. I sat in a car for like 8 hours, essentially, 7.5 hours between, because I had to drive really slow home because it was so stormy. And then I walked about, a foot. No, that's not true. I walked more than a foot, but you know what I mean? It's not like I went and ran a marathon. No, my little body was like, oh, no, lady. You must nap and sleep. And I was like, okay, if you say so. Trashed. But so anyway, so those were silly shenanigans, but I don't know, just gonna keep thinking about like those 18th century teenagers, just trying to feel the intense joy that they would have had from dancing their dancy dances, and just being real happy about that for some reason, as their corpses are completely disintegrated underneath ground. Whatever, I'm still happy for them. Okay, so then in stitching, sorry, Gus is sitting on my lap. He's had a rough day today. So in stitching, I have 2 new projects in my cross stitching. The first one, I decided I enjoyed doing that sort of smaller stitch so much that I decided I would treat myself to a little Mama Witch cross stitch. So it's Mama Witch X stitch. She's on Etsy. And if you're on any of the social medias, she's got a presence. And she has like 8 gajillion patterns, like from varying sizes, like all over the place. Oh, that's not I don't have a good picture of it because I just have the pattern printed out. And that's the grid, and you don't need to see that. But I got a little simple one that I am working on and enjoying so much. Right? So this is her Babushka Oink, and I am doing my stitching on some 20 count raw natural cork linen. So it's 20 count linen, and I'm doing it over 2 with 6 strands of floss. So I don't know if you remember, if you've been with me for a while, not too long ago, I did an apple like this, which I still have because it's the same fabric. So I did this apple a while ago, and I think I've got a thing I'm going to do with these little guys. I think I've got a plan, but we'll see if it's going to happen. But isn't that just the stinking cutest thing? So I've got the cross stitching done, but I'm currently working on the back stitching. So I need to do her like little eyebrows and the little lines around her nostrils and like a little bit on her ears. And then I'm also going to tack down some of this back stitching that I did for the leaves and stuff. I'm going to do like a little bit of like a couching around them just in a couple places so that the stitches aren't so long. Like a lot of times when you do back stitching, you do just like one cell at a time, but it didn't look good when I did it that way. And I don't actually think it's designed to necessarily do it that way because it would have mathematically, like it didn't line up exactly with the grid. Like some of the angles are like 20-degree angles and not 45 or 90. So, but I think I'm going to go, and I did it a little bit over here. I went back and sort of just like came up in one hole, went around the thread and went back down in the same hole, to just sort of anchor it down a little bit more so that it's less likely to get caught, because I think I'm going to make something that's practical out of these. And so I wanted to have a little bit of extra anchoring for those long back stitches. I'm just going to hold this up for the rest of the podcast and just do the rest of the podcast like this because it's so stinking cute. So I used the called for DMC threads. The only difference again is that I used 6 strands for the stitching and 3 strands for the back stitching. And the original pattern has you do, of course, just 2 strands and then 1 strand for the back stitching. I wish I could show you like how chunky the little stitches look just on the fabric. So charming and real fun. Because I think this is only like, the cross stitch count is only 33 by 35. So that's 33 stitches across, 35 stitches down, which is like so few stitches. It's so exciting. There are 8 colors. So it's a pretty affordable little project if somebody in your area has this like 20 count linen, which is just so fun. So I started that guy. And then I also and I have a few of them that I'm going to do. I have like a little ghosty, and I have another one too. But I'm going to do those and that. And then I also started, what do we call it? Like is there a cute name for starting a cross stitch? Like we cast on our knitting, but I don't know if there's a cute name for starting a cross stitch. But I am doing another one of these animal crackers from Stacy Nash. Is that right? Yeah, Stacy Nash Designs. And this is her Harrison. So she also has this really cute lady bunny she's this really cute bunny that's in a dress that came out after I had purchased this one. Oh, she's so cute. Who am I? I was never like a rabbit person. I need a lot of cute stuff, y'all. I just need a lot of cute stuff to counter the not cute stuff that is going on. Anyway, so I started that again with my words. And so I just have this much so far. I just am working on his little sweater, his little jumper. Oh, it's a jumper for a rabbit. That's cute. Gus, honey, there's a fan in my window, because it's like that time of year, but he's very upset that he can't sit on my lap and then look out the window because the fan is in the way. Like there's a whole other window, Gus. You could go lay over there. Yeah, go stress out downstairs. Okay, that's lovely. Okay, so I have this much so far. And did I say that I'm using the called for threads? I believe I did. And then I'm also using, I think it's actually even the called for, yes, I'm using 35 count Weeks Dye Works linen in the corn silk. And that's the fabric that I'm using as well. So these are really nice patterns. Again, they have a limited color palette. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one has 6 colors. which is just a nice, because you get big chunks of color, as you could see. Those are all one color. So you get big chunks of color, and it's just, for me, it's more relaxing. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just work on this stripe of the sweater, and I'm gonna, you know, we got, okay, 20 stitches. I'm just gonna stitch across those, and we come back. It's just it's much more soothing to me to have those big clumps of color, because like doing the color changes is like less enjoyable to me. I know a lot of people like it because it's like, oh, it's moving along. But I just sort of enjoy the like, knowing where I'm gonna put my stitches, and it just feels very chill, which I appreciate in low these times. The only thing that's bad about, well, bad, quote unquote bad, about the big chunks of color thing is that sometimes it makes it hard to kind of keep track of where you are. But what I do is I just, I'm not showing you anything exciting. I just I Xerox the pattern and then just use a highlighter. That's the only way I can keep track. Otherwise my eyeballs go bananas. So yeah. So that's 35 count and 20 count. Isn't that fun, the difference? Do you want to see them next to each other? That's probably a helpful thing to do. Okay, I'll just use the apple because it's out. So this is the 20 count over 2 with 6 strands of floss. And this is the 35 count, again, over 2, but with 1 strand of floss. Isn't that fun? So yeah, I don't know. These would also be, these would be super cute to do with 6 strands of floss and a 20 count, because you get like a big boy. That would be really cute. The only thing I don't like about doing the 6 strands of floss is that for me, I have to do the like stabbing method of the cross stitch. So usually I use the sewing method where I just like dip down and then pull up and then go out. So I'm like going down through a hole and coming up through the hole in the same motion. But when I do the 6 strands over and the 20 count, I do have to do like down through a hole, grab the needle on the other side, put it up through the next hole, because it just keeps this strands of floss from like getting like rucked up that's not the right word, but like getting like twisted up. And it's not something that I think you can even tell from any distance away at all. And it's definitely a personal preference. Like there's no physical reason you can't do the sewing method when you're doing the bigger, like the multiple strands of floss. It's just an aesthetic thing. And again, I don't even think it's something you could tell like from a distance where it was going to be on a wall or something, like if it was a gift for somebody. But because I just enjoy the process of it, I want it to look nice as I'm doing the process. And for me, that means on the bigger counts of floss and thence linen, that I do want to do the stabbing method. I don't know what that's really what it's called. I think that actually might be what it's called. But as I say it so many times in this matter of 3 minutes, I'm like, I don't know, these words don't make any sense. Meow. Okay, so that's all my stitching. And then I haven't done, last time I showed you my sweet little pig, and they are still naked. I have not figured out my clothing yet for them. I just need to go through stash scrappy yarn. Come on, buddy. I just need to go through my stashy scrappy yarns and decide what their clothing will be. But in the meantime, I have also been working on a project that I had put down for quite some time, because for some reason, it was right before I got on like that big socks push for myself, and I just really needed plain stockinette on like a sock needle. I don't know, again, who knows, right? But I had cast on this Aloft sweater by, shawl. Aloft, A-L-O-F-T, by Becca, B-E-K-A-H. I had started this shawl with some yarn I purchased at Wisconsin Sheep and Wool. And that yarn is Utopia's Ridge Fingering. And this is their radioactive colorway. Meow. Sorry, I forgot to mention, I probably will, I hope I'll remember to put it in the beginning. But this is the thermal hat. I was like, I don't even know what it is. This is the thermal hat, which is a fingering weight hat. And it's one of my favorite ones to wear. I find it to be very enjoyable. I think this is like Madeline Tosh or something. I don't even know. It's a sock yarn. Okay, sorry. Shawl. So I am knitting mine on, I believe, 1.5s. US 1.5. Oh no, I'm sorry, US 2s. And the only thing I'm doing differently is that it's a symmetrical shawl as written. And I am actually doing mine. So the way a traditional triangular shaped shawl is that you do every other row is when you're doing your increases. You do every other row increases along the spine and every other row on the sides. But what I'm doing is I'm making it one side the regular shawl shape, and then the other side more of like an elongated triangle, because I just like how that like has that long tail that you can wrap around your neck. So I'm doing the pattern as written, except on one side I am doing a double increase instead of a single increase on the edge. So the spine is still the same, one side is still the same. One side I'm doing a double increase, so I'm doing 2 yarn overs, and then when I knit through them, I just like knit through the front and the back. And then just keeping it in pattern. And this pattern is a fairly easy lace pattern, so that's not doesn't require that much brain problem or brain power, especially because the increases at the end of the row, it's just like you just keep going in the pattern, versus like if the double increases at the beginning, it takes a little bit more brain because you kind of have to like figure out what part of the pattern you're starting on. But at the end of the row, it's much easier for me anyway. So yeah, it's just a pretty simple lace pattern. Oh, I was going to say, I put it down for some reason because I was just really into plain stockinette, and I don't know, I was like hesitant to pick it up because I was like, oh, I just don't know this one. It's not thinking at all. Very minimal thinking if you're at all familiar with lace knitting or reading your work. But yeah, so that's that. I've been working on that again, which has been very enjoyable. And then I also cast on Susan B. Anderson. Susan B. Anderson offered a kit fairly recently, and it's in this line of animals that she's been doing called Good. This one is the Good Mouse, but there's also been Good Bunny or Good Rabbit. I can't remember. There's been other good animal releases. So this is her pattern Good Mouse, and they did a kit for it on Barrett wool there were 3 different colors of mice and 3 different colors of outfit options. And it's knit with the Wisconsin woolens. So they're sport weight yarn, which is like such a great, again, I love to knit an animal with a woolen spun yarn because it just fluffs up, it hides shaping, it gives you more forgiveness when you are knitting, in terms of if you can see sort of a little bit of, if your knitting is not super dense, it's more forgiving because when you wash it, it'll bloom up a little bit. And so it'll sort of like cover up those little microscopic, those little stitch holes. But here's another one of the color combinations that she had, or that they offered, excuse me. So yeah, I have started this guy, whatever. And this is, I know, it looks a little disturbing. Oh, but this is how far I am so far. And isn't it just, it's just so cute. She has you stuff it pretty minimally, which I like. I'm liking the look of right now. There's a little, she gives you a marker for the tail, and she gives you a marker to put your safety eyes in, which I'm about to do. I'm almost done. You can see, like, I'm almost done with the nose. And then you pick up for the little arms. And it's just such an enjoyable little guy. Susan's patterns, always great, especially her stuffies. I actually think I might, okay, I'm probably not going to do it. Let's face it. I have this idea that what I want to do is make some of these out of like lace weight. I know, right, stop. Just hear me out. Make some of these out of lace weight so that they're pretty small. And then either she has a summer vegetable. Is it not called garland? But anyway, it's like a lot of like little, like there's peas, there's corn, there's radish, there's several vegetables and she has them displayed, or like she's showing them on the pattern as like a garland. I can't remember, but anyway, so either to do those, but do them in like fingering weight, or maybe even, lace weight, or, I know it's crazy, just I'm probably not going to do it because I don't know if my eyeballs can handle it, to do them in like the super skinny crochet cotton, or maybe even, actually I think 6 strands of embroidery floss would be bigger than that little skinny crochet cotton, or like a pearl cotton. Anyway, so do them with like an embroidery thread of some sort. Or there's also a really cute set of vegetables that are crocheted that I could also do in a very small very small yarn of some sort. I know it's super bonkers, but wouldn't it be so stinking precious? Would your brain just not explode with the preciousness? It would also be precious in regular size. Totally would be super cute. I don't know why in my head I need to make it even smaller. Maybe because I want to put bunnies on it, but these bunnies are not crazily big. They would work. They weighed like nothing because they're woolen spun yarn and they just require a tiny bit of stuffing. Why am I making it crazier? But I don't know, it's crazy and it's cute and it's fun. Any minute I'm going to show up in here with a Winnie the Pooh t-shirt on. This world is just forcing me into places. Places, I say. But yeah, so those are, I don't know. I have the ideas in my head that I need to make all of those things. But it would be fun. And it would definitely like keep me busy for a while. I don't know. It sounds very tempting, y'all. Have you made anything tiny lately? Again, it'll be a factor of whether my eyeballs can take it, especially on if it's crochet, because knitting, like the stitches you're working with are always on the needles, so they're like much easier visually to see like where your stitches are going to be, whereas crochet, you got to like decide where your stitch is at every stitch. Like you have to go in and find it each time. So we'll see. I haven't decided anything yet. But that is all of my crafting. And so then next I'll tell you about what I finished reading. Okay, so I've had another week of just listening to silly podcasts, and then also Too Much As Recline, and then weeping into my Cheerios. But I did finish one piece of fiction, and that is The Heartless Hunter, which is a book by Kristen Ciccarelli. I apologize, I sort of looked it up. Ciccarelli. Ciccarelli. And this, I believe, is the first in a trilogy. It is the first, but I think it's a trilogy. And I don't know if we're calling it a romance, a romantasy. Is it young adult? I mean, I could totally see that it was young adult, but I just didn't realize it was. But this is giving it a tag as young adult, so maybe it's also YA. So here's the description. Enemies to lovers doesn't get more high stakes than a witch and a witch hunter falling in love in best-selling author Kristen Ciccarelli's latest romantic fantasy. On the night Ruin's life changed forever, blood ran in the streets. Now, in the aftermath of a devastating revolution, witches have been diminished from powerful rulers to outcasts, ruthlessly hunted due to their waning magic, and Rune must hide what she is. Spending her days pretending to be nothing more than a vapid young socialite, Rune spends her nights as the Crimson Moth, a witch vigilante who rescues her kind from being purged. When a rescue goes wrong, she decides to throw the witch hunters off her scent and gain the intel she desperately needs by courting the handsome Gideon Sharp, a notorious and unforgiving witch hunter, loyal to the revolution, who she can't help but find herself falling for. And then there's lots more information in the synopsis, but that's, I think, sufficient. Okay, we'll see. I love the little italics like chasers at the end. Kristen's Heartless Hunter is the thrilling start to the Crimson Moth duology. Oh, look at that. It's a duology, not a trilogy. A romantic fantasy series where the only thing more treacherous than being a witch is falling in love. Wow. Okay. I really enjoyed it. I would say definitely a solid 4 stars, maybe 4.5. and that is like, I really enjoyed listening to it. I could see myself, I mean, I definitely will read / listen to the next one. Is it something that's going to like sit with, it has not sat with me afterwards where I'm like reflecting back on the story and like being, you know, like, oh, I want to tell I don't need to tell anybody about reading it. Like, I'm not like, oh my God. Whereas that's sort of my kind of feeling about a 5-star book, is that I need to like, I just need somebody to listen to me talk about it, whether they want to or not. Thank you, friends. But I did thoroughly enjoy it. And it definitely has romantasy vibes. So it's sort of, it's a fantasy, like we're in an alternative reality. I don't even, do we call that an alternative reality? I don't know. We're in a different world. There is some amount, there's like sketchings of how that world is different. It's very similar to ours, but there's sketchings of how it's slightly different. But there's not a ton of like world building involved. Which is not, it's just fine. Like, I was drawn in quite quickly. There wasn't a lot of like, what's happening? And let's see what else. I could definitely see that's YA. It's a very palatable read. It's not overly intricate or anything like that. I would not say it's still got good. I think I still enjoyed the character development and enjoyed the characters. Yeah, a lot of people well, not a lot of people. Some reviews I read felt like it was too slow. I didn't feel like it was that slow at all, but maybe that's because I was listening to it, and so therefore it like literally moved relatively fast. Although reading it actually still moves faster than even listening to it super fast. So whatever. I did not feel like it was a slow development. I was fine with it. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Again, that is The Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. So thank you so much for coming over today. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope you're allowing yourself to experience the joy of an 18th century teenager dancing a quadrille. Is that what they're called? I think that's what that was called. But not in uncomfortable clothing. No foundation garments, but that level of joy. I understand if you need to rein some of your physicality in just for like the safety of you and others, that's great. But otherwise, I hope you have the joy of what I assume it is to be an 18th century teenager cutting a rug up with your peers and your community members. I'm telling you, man, I'm all about, let's bring back everybody gets a garden, everybody gets a chicken, not because they have to, because eggs are too expensive, but because chickens are enjoyable to watch and marvel at. And then also we have weekly dances at the town hall, because that's some good wholesome entertainment, and I'm here for it. Here for it. I hope you too also enjoy some wholesome or unwholesome entertainment, and I'll talk next time.